Hey yo, welcome back to another episode of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs, and as always, I am joined by Absolute Intense Wrestling owner, John Thorne. What is up, Thorne?
I'm here reading, maybe we should be charging more for our Discord, giving away some scoops on the Twitter.
I didn't see what came out. Scoops getting laid out there or what?
I don't know. I'm trying to follow all this stuff. I don't really understand all of it, to be honest with you. Just trying to follow all this stuff. I'm going to need Dustin Alberti to give me a Cliff Notes report on all this stuff.
Alberti gets
scoop discords, I guess. I'm just gonna charge fans $5 at the after parties. Let them be able to look at my text messages for 1 minute.
Just scroll through your Facebook Messenger thing.
Yeah, just my phone text for 1 minute. You get 1 minute, $5.
That's it. I feel like you got to charge way more than $5.
That's what these guys are charging for their big scoops in their Discords. $5, all the scoops. I think they just make shit up.
We should do that. Just come up with a scoop of the week. It's just
I got real scoops in my phone, dude.
Oh yeah, you know everybody. That's true. I saw you were tweeting. You tweeted something in the Wrestling Society X Twitter chimed in. You know those people pretty well, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm tight with Wrestling Society X.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're always talking about maybe making a comeback. I definitely have a job there if they come back.
Hell yeah. Now we're talking. But yeah, so we just wanted to kind of get into it a little bit this week. We debuted at a new building for the first show of 2025. AIW went to the Roxy at Mahalls. And it was a pretty good time. A lot went on the day, so I figured maybe just kind of run down some stuff, talk about the new building, what you liked, what you didn't like, and just go from there.
Yeah, let's get into it. It was, I didn't know, I really didn't know how it was going to go. You know what I mean? Especially because primarily when we went to Lakewood, we were doing Thursday nights. So, they always did okay, but it was always a little bit of, what we would internally call like a walk up town, you know, so we really didn't know what we were walking into. I thought no matter what, if we were able to secure something in the Lakewood area again, I was just going to move off the Thursdays no matter what and try to, just lock in on a Friday. I just said, who cares at this point? Like the Thursday thing was a cool concept, but at the end of the day, why not just put it on a Friday? So
right.
No matter what, we were always kind of looking to find a new spot, and we were going to put it on Fridays. I think Friday nights has always kind of been our bread and butter night, especially in the Cleveland area. But again, we had no idea what we were walking into. I know that I had, I've been talking about it for weeks, and I had like a vision of what I wanted. And I really thought that building could really, provide it if we executed everything great. And I don't know. I guess I'll let you kind of chime in on that aspect, because I know what I wanted, and I think it's exactly what I wanted. But I guess somebody else's perspectives might be good on this.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was what we were aiming to do, as far as like kind of scale back a little bit, and kind of get the atmosphere. Was something we talked about a lot, just kind of atmosphere of the room and just like whole feel of the show. You can have like a big show and a big card, you have your Absolutions, Hell on Earth, stuff like that, or a great card that gets put out, that gets people excited, but just that room and just kind of that mid-level rock club kind of feel was something that I feel like we'd been chasing for a while, and that was like your intent with this place, and I feel like it totally delivered. I walked around a handful of times, while the show was going on, And I just thought from pretty much everywhere in the room, everyone seemed to be having a good time. There was just different pockets of people everywhere, all over, just partying, having a good time. It was very loud. I feel like the crowd was hot all night long. I just think it's easier to keep a little more engaged too in a room like that. Whereas, like you said, we've said a million times, love the Temple, and I think that room was awesome, but you almost get lost in how big that room is in itself. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely times where I caught myself just looking up at the ceiling, looking around up at the big, shit everywhere. It's such a huge room.
Yeah, it's like an abyss of a room. And I think what was interesting about this is, even people in the back where, maybe the sight lines weren't great, seemed to all still be engaged and having fun.
Yeah.
And it was just everybody was just out for the night, having a good time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I walked around that building a lot, and I know that there's some talk in our Discord about people being scared to get up and go to the bar, but I was moving around in there fine, because I just wanted to get a feel for it. So I walked through the crowd. I walked, around where the seats were. There was a little shortcut Wadsworth discovered. You can cut through the bathroom to get to the bar. There's all kinds of ways to kind of maneuver your way around. Mm-hmm. But I didn't find it all that hard. You know what I mean? It wasn't like going to a music festival where people stood, got their spot by the stage and refused to let people by. It was a different kind of vibe as opposed to when you go to a concert or a music festival or something like that, to where people weren't no, man, you're not getting by me. You know what I mean? It was just a different vibe if you moved through the room, which I thought was, very cool of everybody that was there. Yeah, I thought it was just everybody was having fun. If you were in the back of the room, most of those people were in the back of the room because it was closest to the bar, and people were drinking and having fun. And, it was just I thought the energy in the room was tremendous atmosphere. It's exactly what we wanted. Yeah. But to kind of circle back, we didn't know what we were walking into. We were really expecting, we were going to have to rely on a walk up. We knew that the 2 rows had sold out, and they didn't really give us any indications where the GA was at. We just kept pushing hey, there's not a lot of GA. That was kind of our marketing, is there's not a lot of GA, because we knew there was a hard cap on the room, but they weren't giving us an ongoing, okay, this is where you guys are at, this is where you guys are at. So we had set up, and we had asked for a manifest of the premium tickets so we can label the seats and all that stuff, and they gave us that. And I think it was probably 2:00, and I had to go run out and get merch and all the stuff, and I came back, and everybody was running around, and I asked Pedro, I was did they indicate where things are at? And he's no, they just kind of gave me the premium tickets, and we're figuring all that stuff out now. And he's well, maybe they'll tell us, so he's just hey, any idea how things are as a whole with GA and everything? And they're they brought up a report, and they're yeah, pre-sales at 460. Yeah. We're holy shit.
Yeah.
We're wow. And and then it was quickly within minutes of that, it was at 470. We got down to 30 tickets within minutes of even that exchange. So that's when I kind of put out, hey, we only have 30 tickets left. I was I better put this out. I don't think people understand that, because I know a lot of people were yeah, I got people coming at the door, and I'm they're gonna turn people away. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so, because that fucking room was jam packed, where we were at.
Yeah, for sure.
And sure enough, multiple people. I know Mortimer, who comes all the time. From Rookies.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He he had a post, and there's a bunch of other
Big
people posting that they watched people get turned away, like in sheer disappointment. Which, you know, I think, listen, when we go back to that room, well, I'll say this. We didn't know where things were at. We had kind of like a tentative, like, we'll try it again day. We were either going to do it there or somewhere else. Like, we had like a day on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know where things were at. We were a little nervous. I'll just say I went a little bigger on the potential return date as far as talent that you're going to see on the teaser graphic, because I didn't, like, I thought that we were going to have to rely on a big walk-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For who you booked, yeah.
So, like, it's going to fucking... They're putting tickets on sale next week, and I think this one is going to sell out.
Oh, yeah.
Way in advance.
Absolutely. I would guarantee it. If we were doing some FanDuel betting on this one, I would 100% be laying my money on a sellout for this one, especially when that graphic comes out.
Way in advance.
Yeah.
Especially now, too, people know they will get turned away.
Well, that's a thing, too. I had a buddy of mine, somebody I went to high school with, he's been telling me, I'm coming out. He finally was like, okay, you guys are back in like the Cleveland area proper, you know, because like you had said, we hadn't really been in the area too close to here for a little while. So he's like, all right, you're finally back in the area. And I kept telling him all week, I said, you get tickets yet? He goes, no, we're going to, because I got a group, everyone's waiting, you know, we're trying to get them together. I said, you better get them because they're going to sell out. He waited, and two of the people that they were supposed to come with didn't come, so him and his other buddy came and tried to get tickets at the door, and at that point it was sold out. There were still some people that hadn't showed up or came in yet, because as they just stood by the door. He's like, my buddy that I'm with is not giving up. He's like, we're finding tickets, and apparently somebody came up in line that was waiting for they had 4 tickets, but it was just them 2, and apparently the other 2 people, they weren't going to be able to make it, so they just bought he's like, we'll buy the extra 2 that they're not coming, and that's how he ended up getting in. He's like, I don't know, by the grace of God we got in because it was sold out, and they were turning people away for sure.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know from what I've heard, they turned easily 100 people away.
Yeah,
on Friday night, which is, I mean, I look at it both ways. You go, oh man, like that's 100 tickets extra we could have sold, but I mean, again, you go in that Temple room, it's different energy. You know, like it's a give and a take. So.
It's also getting it back to that thing like you were talking about, like it's a hot ticket in town, man, and they're not all going to be available, so you're going to want to grab those tickets because it's not just going to be, yeah, they'll have GA, we'll be able to get in no matter what, it doesn't matter, we can wait. That's not how it's going to be anymore because, you know, you see the vibe and you see that atmosphere in that place. Like you said, man, everybody was partying, they had a great bar, great prices, that was a good time. I didn't feel like I had to wait very long anytime, you know, I just didn't start having some drinks till the end, but I didn't have to wait very long. There were several, you know, there's the other bar in there, there's the bar in the back room, plenty of places to get a drink.
Yeah,
the food was
cool.
great.
It was cool. Yeah, and the people from Globe Iron came to like kind of like undercover boss us.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was a good one for them to come observe. You know?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you look at something like that, you know, you see that in somebody else's club and you got to think, hell, I want this in my venue.
Yeah, so they're very excited too. Like they are very on board with really getting behind us, you know. And I think it's gonna be cool. You know, I think we potentially have 2 very cool venue partners in the Cleveland area, and it's. You know, it felt like exactly what I wanted, you know, when I started just really putting thought into all this stuff. And then, you know, when we boiled it all down at the end of the night, it was like, because you got to remember too, tickets were a little cheaper at the Temple.
Yeah.
You know, like we didn't increase them crazy on Friday, but, you know, 5, you know, like instead of 15 for GA, it was 20 for GA. So like the gate, you know, was comparable to what we're doing in the temple when you take out all the other expenses and everything else that went into it. So, I mean, it was a very, very, like, positive overall experience, I think, on Friday night for what I was envisioning, and then for it to turn out that way, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I gotta give Stacy Silvers some props, because he sent me a very nice message, and he says, hey, all you ever hear about is like all the bad shit. And he's like, I just want to tell you, like, Friday was awesome. The atmosphere was awesome. It felt like we were back at the Odeon again. It was just like such a cool vibe and atmosphere, and the whole show, it just made the whole show seem bigger, you know, and like that's what I thought, and I just didn't know if anyone else was going to understand, you know what I mean, like what I was going for. Yeah.
Your vision was realized, and it was played out exactly kind of how we wanted it to, really. I mean, everything from the lighting. I mean, all that just seemed, you know, it just seemed big for whatever reason. Just the vibe in there, like you said, can't keep talking about that, but like the lighting, the sound, everything, it all worked very well together in that room. I had a great time. There was a Weezer cover band going on in the other room. Filthy Tom kept trying to go watch the Weezer cover band.
So multiple people I knew just in the lobby that were there, like, what the fuck? You guys are over here? Yeah. You know, like, I was like, yeah, they were just there for the Weezer cover band.
Oh, man. But yeah, and major props to everyone, too, on the show that helped out, and everybody in the back. You know, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but, you know, it's show days. It's not a show day without some, you know, some trials and tribulations. We had a few, you know, hurdles to overcome, and I feel like, you know, everybody kind of...
Hurdles of many, for sure, yeah.
Everybody kind of put their best foot forward and kind of, you know, did what they had to do, and we made the ship run.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up and, like, I was just, like, I felt good for whatever reason. I just woke up and I felt like everything was, I don't know, like, I just had this, like, calmness over me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Some days I just wake up and, like, I just feel like chaos from the second I wake up. You know, like, I can't sleep, restless, whatever. I just woke up and I just felt like calm, you know, like I said, you know, I had talked about, like, you know, a lot of, you know, we got to make it to that 20th anniversary. You know what I mean? Like, this is, you know, everything is kind of like a, you know, a stepping block or whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean, stepping stone to get there. And I just kind of woke up and it was just like, all right, here's, you know, day one, right? Like day one of 2025, like, and I felt good about it. Like it was an odd feeling, you know, because like I said, like there's days where I wake up and it's just chaos from the second I wake up. I'll have 20 missed text messages that have happened, you know, throughout the night over flight delays or I can't make it or, you know, all this other shit that happens, you know, and like I just woke up and like there's nothing, and it was just like everything was good, and you know, I felt calm when I woke up, honestly, and it was just like that was just like in itself was just like I thought a good this is going to be, no matter what happens today, this is going to be a good day. And I really felt it. And, you know, it quickly got turned into a little bit of chaos. But, you know, nobody was deterred, really. Like, it was crazy. You know, like my phone rang, and I'm terrible at saving phone numbers, so it's Youngstown number. I have no idea who it is. And it was Chase Oliver. And he's like, oh, hey, I got in a car accident. All of your shit is in my car. It was just in a car accident. All of your,
thousands of dollars of camera equipment, laptop.
And he's just like, yeah. I was like, oh, cool. And it sounded like no matter what the outcome was, he wasn't coming.
Yeah, you seemed surprisingly calm when you pulled up to me. I got there about 12:45. A couple of the students were there, waiting to get the door open. We open the door. I bring one of my totes in. I come out to get the rest of my stuff, and you pull up and you said, I'm pretty calm, might I add. Like I said, so Chase was in a car accident, and we need somebody to go pick up all the equipment. And I'm like, okay, well, my car's about to be empty in a second here. I guess I'll go get it. And you're like, okay, great. And that was kind of it. There was no like, oh, fuck. Like, we did it. So I just went and picked it up and came back and went from there.
Yeah, it was just like, there's nothing else you can do. Like, you could sit there and you can get mad, or you just have to accomplish a task, And it's just like, I was just like, I told them, I was just like, okay, well, let me get back to you, just like, don't go anywhere, just let me get back to you. And then I was close to the venue and I pulled up. You're the first person I saw, and I was just like, hey, he got in an accident. I need somebody to go, he sent me a pin, and you're just like, okay, I'll go. And he wasn't all that far.
It was about 20 miles, yeah. About 20 miles.
And, I was just like, okay, you go do that. I'm going to go, I had ordered merch I had to go pick up and then pay for, and then I had to go to the airport and, do all this other running around. And I was just like, you go get the shit. We'll get the shit. And once the shit is here, we'll figure that part out, because we didn't even know if we were going to even be able to stream anyway. So, like,
yeah, that was my next task.
That was just like, let's get it here, and at the very least, we're going to record it. You know what I mean? And then, one thing, let's do one thing at a time. And, also, like, it needs to be said, like, how fucking rad was the staff at the Roxy?
Oh, yeah. Pat, the sound guy, is incredible. The lady who was behind the desk, who I'll get to when I talk to her about, with the modem and stuff. Pretty much every single person I encountered that works there were some of the nicest people. And I don't want to throw any venue or anything under the bus. We've always been treated great. It's nothing like that. But Mahalls and Roxy was awesome. Everybody there was great.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just like, okay, like, let's get it here. And, like, also oddly calm and, like, zen-like was Pedro, who is typically having a meltdown like by noon, and he was just like,
he had a lot on his plate this week too.
Yeah, and he's just like, how hard could it be? Just plug things into things, He's like, we'll figure it out. And I'm just like, it's a little more difficult than that, but like,
as we found out.
I was like, I appreciate you trying to simplify it, but it is a bit more difficult than plugging a thing into a thing. Like, there are things that go into things that don't necessarily like work with other things, and there's a little bit more of a science to it. But he was just like, yeah, whatever. You just plug things into things, and then it works. And I was like, okay, But he was like in this like zen like state as well, so I was just like, I don't know what it was about, maybe just going to the Roxy or what it, like, it was just a different vibe. Everybody was just, okay, we're gonna get through it. You know what I mean? Nobody got angry at all, all day. And, we're obviously, I've not set the equipment up since it arrived on my porch, and I brought it to the Winchester the next day.
20,
like, that's the
2 or something, right? Or 23? Was it the end of 22 to 23? I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, like, that's, then, and then, in October, and then from there, it's always been Chase or somebody else doing it. So I was just like, and things have been added and new pieces have been added to it. So I was like totally lost, and I'm just like, fuck, like you guys that have been helping do this, like, let's do it. And thankfully, Matt Price stepped up, and Dustin and you, and there were a lot of people that kind of just stepped up, and people got very annoying by FaceTiming Chase all day. Rightfully so, but we needed to figure out how to do it. And then I brought my laptop, and I started clicking around, and eventually we got to where we needed to be. But for people that don't realize it, we couldn't even get the software to like be recognized on my laptop until like 7:05. So
yeah, and it was like it just happened too. And that's the thing about like, okay, it's like, all right, yeah, only certain plugs go into certain plugs. Like if you got to plug them into eventually get it right and it'll run. But that's not necessarily the case, because then you have to go into the computer and pull up different, like, recognize this to go into this. And that's what we couldn't. We had everything plugged in the right positions. We had everything where it was, but we could not get the laptop to recognize the switcher. And we're like, okay, is it a bad cord? What is the hurdle here? And we could not figure it out, and we couldn't get a hold of Chase. And Price was on the phone with his friend too, chiming in a third, helper.
Yeah, he was on like with some big streamer guy. And, they do it completely different than how we do it. And then eventually I just clicked something and it showed up, and I was just like, hey, everybody remember what this says.
Yeah, you were like,
on the screen right
video,
now.
blah, blah, blah. You're like, that's it. And we're like, what? And you're like, I did it. It was like, oh, fuck, sweet.
Yeah, that was like, you would have thought I fucking, you know what I mean? I struck oil. Like I was, because it was a good 35 minutes of nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like about like, all right, whatever, and then I clicked on something, and then all of a sudden it just all showed up, and I was just like, there it is. And then I was just like, fuck it. I was just like, we're not doing any lower thirds.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything. We have it recognized. We did like a little test stream on a private unlisted YouTube link.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to Chase. He could hear the commentary. He could see a clear picture. And I said, that's it. You know what I mean? I said, that's it. We're not doing anything extra. This fucking laptop was a fucking 8,000 degrees with all this shit running into it.
Yeah, it was running.
I said, we're not doing anything else to it. We're not running any graphics on it. We're not doing anything. We are literally sending a signal to YouTube, and that's it. And it worked.
And because that was the thing too. I mean, we kind of even skipped the hurdle of the internet too. We didn't talk about that yet, but that was the thing that we talked about. We're like, we have these subscribers. We're like, we're trying to get these streams out to everyone who is subscribed to this channel. Obviously, doing this on our own in YouTube is a work in progress. So, there's some challenges we'll have to overcome, but we've been trying to deliver, each month to have these streams for everyone. And that was the biggest thing. We're like, we got a stream. We have a stream. They can see the show. They can hear commentary. Let's not, start kicking shit around, because that was the thing too. So I came back with the video equipment. I get everything from Chase. Me and a couple students unload everything. We bring it in there and ask around and said something about, so what's going on with internet? Did we get hardwired in yet? And they go, no, they only have Wi-Fi. There's no modem anywhere here in this show space, in the Roxy room at all. They don't even know where the modem is. I said, oh, okay. So that's back to what you're saying with how great the staff was. I said, let me just go talk to, someone up at that, so the sound guy goes, yeah, let's go talk to, the woman behind the desk. So we talked to her, and she's like, she was a little hesitant, which I can understand. There's several other things going on in that building. A lot of POS, point of sale stuff that runs off the internet. So you don't want to just let somebody just start unplugging or plugging in stuff. But they were extremely helpful. They were very nice. Long story short, we get internet and get hardwired in. We have that giant Ethernet cord, so we strung the cord from behind the back of the house where we run from all the way to like the middle of the building, out through. If you saw that cable running across, that was our Ethernet cable. But we've figured that problem out, got that running, and at that point, once we had the stream up and the commentary and everything, we're like, yeah, let's not start throwing lower thirds in or anything else to get this any more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, Chase made them all, and I just went, you know what, like, fuck it. It is 7:05.
Right.
Like, I can either load all these things in, and we can risk this computer freezing, or or I can put it on sleep mode for 30 minutes, let it cool down.
Right.
And, we can just do the show, bare bones. And at the end of the day, it's nice to have a lower third, and it's nice to have a little AIW watermark on the stream. But that's not why people are watching it, in my opinion.
Right.
It's nice to have that stuff, but like I don't think it matters. And we're not broadcasting live on NBC, so like at the end of the day, like I made an executive decision to try to get a just steady stream out to the world, and for the most part it skipped a little bit, but other than that it was pretty flawless throughout the night.
Yeah, and I mean, we're at that point, we're at the mercy of just internet in general. You know what I mean? There's nothing we can do to control that. I think if you get that little of interference, or skipping, buffering, whatever you want to call it, I think that's a win, in our department. But
again, that's the thing. Those POS systems, all the other shit is running off of that same internet signal. So we don't know what happens at that time. They dump, they upload these credit card transactions, all this stuff, like that could be why it skipped, at this certain point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You just don't know when you're in these facilities like this. But for the most part, the stream was pretty dead on. And then we were able to get, we were also able to get a clean version up on Patreon the next morning. So, a success as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, major shouts, like I said, to Price, student in the back who worked very hard, doing pretty much anything he was asked all day. Alberti always steps up big time. He helped out huge. Clemens was in there doing whatever he needed to do along with his ref duties. Pretty much just all day, everyone was just doing everything they can. It was a great time. And then I wanted to mention more with the crowd and just the vibe. We had, if you're looking to sponsor or be a part, you have a brand, you have a clothing brand or something like that, really anything wrestling related, that you want to try and sell to people. We had Wrestle Rugs out again. That guy who he makes those custom rugs and brings them to the show. I saw like 5 or 6 different people that had bought rugs and, were walking around holding them. So like people were there, people were drinking, people were buying merch. I saw tons of wrestlers selling merch. Everyone was buying t-shirts and stuff. Just the vibe overall all night was just immaculate. Like it was just great time all night.
Shout out to Crown Royal as well.
Yeah, Crown, another sponsor.
Drink responsibly. Showed up again for another show. Gave us a little bit of sponsorship cash, which stuff like that helped. As we build this YouTube, it's obviously not to the point of what we were making from Triller, even though it took a long time to get paid from Triller. Still, when you got paid, we're still not to that level of what we were making off of Triller yet. But when you get a sponsor like Crown Royal, that like makes up for it. You know what I mean? Like now we're right there. When you mix in the subscriptions and the sponsorships, we're right in the mix there. So great success, and shout out to Dustin and Razor Sharp, who have been kind of trying to wrangle up some sponsors for us, and get some extra, money flowing through the company, because, every little bit helps. And, like I said, it was really incredible, when we ended the night and, we kind of broke everything down. It was very comparable to one of those big crowds that we did at the Temple, which makes maybe question a couple things, but that's a whole other conversation. But
we're staying positive today. This is upbeat positive. Yeah.
But yeah, we were very, very, very happy with everything at the end of the night. Just great to work with the Roxy Mahalls, Bravo artists, incredible partners to work with, and they're super engaged. They were very happy, and had some suggestions to kind of help the consumers in the room. Like they don't want any of the vendors in for the next one. They want us to make more space available. We're not going to sell any more tickets. They just want us to take some of those vendors, maybe move commentary around a little bit. They want us to create more space in that main room to kind of be more accommodating to the fans. So they're very engaged in that process, which is awesome. Awesome to hear, because a lot of these venues are just like, how many more people can we shove in this place? You know what I mean? And they're not like that. They're just like, how can we make this more enjoyable for everybody that's coming? Which is like really refreshing, kind of, when you're dealing with music promoters and music venues in general. So just really, can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah, I mean, moving, and that's the beauty of that building too. Is there's a ton of room out there. You can still. We're not cutting out the vendors. Like I said, if you're a sponsor, something like that, you're thinking about wanting to bring your brand to sell stuff like that. Definitely do it, because people were buying. But that room as well, there's places to move it. It's not like we have to get rid of them. We're just going to make more room in the show space area for general admission standing and stuff like that. Going to take out some of the selling merch in that room. But that's what I said. That was so great. They have that whole front room where everyone can set up merch and all that. And it's not hidden. If you're going to that other bar, you'll see it. It's right in the front of the building. It's not like we're ducking people off in the corner where you're not going to sell nothing. You know what I mean? The building is great, in my opinion, as a whole. Just the layout of it in general.
The whole complex, yeah, it's very cool.
There's several bathrooms and stuff. I don't feel like there was ever a line for any bathroom. There's a few different ones in the building, and none of them are like crazy far. You know what I mean? I just thought everything was great. Especially, I mean, I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but the product in the ring. I mean, I thought so many matches, delivered the expectations. But I mean, can we just talk about Swoggle and Microman for a minute? I mean, how great was that? I mean, that was something.
I think everything over delivered on the show, and that's exactly what I was talking about on the last podcast. Is when you get that atmosphere, it becomes like the third person in the ring in a way. It just creates such a different, it just changes the whole kind of dynamic when people are getting ready to go out there and perform, or are in there performing, right? Because they don't know what they're walking into, and it's just like, Mikey Montgomery and Alec Price opened it up, and then like so many guys were coming down, because the guys didn't know what the crowd was like, because the locker room was in an apartment above the venue. So like you couldn't see anything. So a lot of people had no idea. Like backstage was literally like the refs would run people down. There was like a little side, you had to walk through the crowd. There was like a little side thing kind of blocked off, and the refs would run up to the apartment and say, okay, you're next, and then run them down to the stage. Excuse me. So like guys didn't even know. But, like, word started traveling quick that, like, it was fucking packed and loud. And, like, guys were getting so excited, to come down and perform. And it was, as the night went on, so many people just stayed in that gorilla position on the stage because they were loving the energy and watching the show from there. And it created this just incredible environment and excitement that was traveling back to the locker room, and it just stuff like that just causes performers to want to do so much more.
Yeah, and the kudos to you big time on, pacing the show and where you put the matches. I seriously don't think there was a better way you could have went about it, starting with Mikey and Prize. Got everyone, and there was a lot of, and I think there was a lot of casual fans in there, or even just, I hate to say it, but regular people, maybe not wrestling fans, that were just there because they're like, oh, this is a good time. I know the Mahalls and yada yada. I think they just kind of came like we had in the past with some of our Thursday Lakewood shows. You're just getting kind of regular people coming in there, and to that match to start, it just got everyone on the level of like, oh shit, like this isn't going to be some fly by night goofy shit. This is real deal wrestling. Like this is going to be a great time. This show is going to be packed, and it just everywhere from there. And finishing with the big 8-man tag and everything, I think kept everyone just so like all the whole crowd. It was engaged the entire show. There was no lull at all, and I just thought that was a great pace of the show.
Yeah, and I think that's just, that is, as a wrestling company or promoter, that is what you strive for. You strive to get the regular person or the casual fan, the person that doesn't spend money on wrestling at all. You know what I mean? And like you try to get them back. I would venture to say that a lot of those people, if they never came to AEW before, they want to come back when we go back to at least the Roxy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's creating new customers and a bigger customer base. And I think that there was a large percentage of people that had never been to AEW before that were there, but they were into everything, and it was just like, when I paced the show and I put it together, I kind of thought like maybe it would be like that, and it was just like you wanted to like I really front loaded it with a lot of the marquee stuff on the front half of the show, and like wanted to kind of see how the energy carried all the way to the main event. I typically would not, if we were like say at the Shrine, I would not pace a show like that. It's just different vibe in there, and it's just like more traditionally paced. But this I kind of really front loaded, and I really wanted to like it was just like turning the volume up, you know what I mean, and just like crank the volume up and keep it going all the way to the end. And I think it worked. And you had people like even Dr. Dan and Shaw had people going fucking insane, and it was just like the whole night was just everybody was engaged. It was great. It was just a great crowd to perform in front of. And I think when we go back, which there's going to be a big announcement about that next week, I can't imagine that tickets are going to be available anywhere near the date of that show.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'll be any walk-up at all, just based on, how quickly they went for this last show and then how hot the crowd was. Because, I think you're going to get a lot of return people that had maybe never been to a show before, for sure.
Absolutely.
Anything else about the card itself or, the day itself?
I just think it was great. I don't want to give away too much, but you could check it out on patreon.com/AI Wrestling for $5. You can watch the replay of it. You can also, check it out on our premium YouTube right now for $6.99. And then you can get, all of our, past streams on there. And then for $14.99, you can get like tons and tons and tons of former, old AIW content, tons of premium content. So, all kinds of different options on how you can consume AIW these days. You just put up the Behind the Curtain, too, with Steve Carino, which I know everybody was saying that was really great. Really great watch. Yeah, it's almost 40 minutes long. Really great interview. Certainly some never before told stories on there, so you can get that on Patreon, or you can get that on the premium version, the $14.99 version of our YouTube subscription. Certainly worth it. Tons of we're just trying to add value to our content again. I feel like just content has become somewhat valueless, as we've entered these the streaming era in the last 5 to 10 years, and people got so used to being able to get so much content for so little money. And I don't think people realized that so little money was then split up in a smaller percentage. That smaller percentage was then given to the promoters. And then those promoters would then to use that to try to fund their shows and pay the performers. Like, I don't think people understand truly how devalued independent wrestling content has gotten. We are far removed from the great days of Smart Mark Video and DVDs and MP4s. Those were that is the golden age, I think, of independent wrestling, and we are far removed from the value that was provided in those days. We're trying to re-add some value to our content, and I know some people don't like that because they've gotten so accustomed to not having to pay for content, but
yeah,
we have to, we have to. It costs money to do these things, and we're trying to create value around this content, so we can continue to make it.
But I mean, I think that we do it fairly. You know what I mean? We do. That's why we have the two options. The 2-tier options. You have that lower tier for people that just want the streams, you just want to see the live shows. But then you have the higher tier for people who want to really dig in and really kind of get the most that they can and really consume as much as possible. I mean, I think we're doing a great job of providing content these days, especially now. You know what I mean? With all the backstage stuff we've been doing, we're trying to really ramp that stuff up. With all the baddest footage, some of those behind the scenes stuff. A lot of those are really, really cool looks. We do have some.
I've really been trying to up our social media kind of stuff and getting more clips and stuff out there too. So just trying to get 2025. We're trying to really get some growth going. We really want to make it to that 20th anniversary and beyond. So we're really trying to just, continue to grow. And I know it was kind of a silly mindset, when I first said it, to people back in August, but I really felt that there is tremendous growth through going smaller. And, that smaller venues, smaller streaming distribution, going smaller, there is a lot of growth in that. And I think that, our first show, 2025, certainly kind of shows that. And I hope that we can continue to kind of ride that wave and, keep things in this realm and, build that momentum. And, I don't want to kind of glaze over it, but our return to Youngstown on February 8th, tickets are fucking flying for that.
Yeah.
I did not expect it. We're still a few weeks away, and holy shit, we are almost sold out of all floor seating.
Yeah, I was going to say tickets are on sale for Youngstown, and we've been talking about it all this whole episode about not waiting. But yeah, I would definitely grab tickets for our return to Youngstown to Penguin City Brewery. We got a stacked card. We got Heath coming back, Heath versus the Slugger, Austin James, and then you got Chavo coming back. I saw a match graphic today. You're gonna have to inform me who this person is, because I'm guessing I'm told it was a Youngstown native, but the guy's name John Vincent JVM.
Joey Vincent Martini.
Joey Vincent Martini. I am unaware.
Old school AIW guy. He was in AIW several years ago. His head just Northeast Ohio kind of. Just a well-respected worker in the area. His just fun fact, his family bar was renovated on Bar Rescue. They have a very popular bar. Him and his brother have a very popular bar in downtown Youngstown.
Oh, shit.
Just a really good guy. Very, very well known in the Youngstown area for sure. And a guy that's, was in AIW, in the Turner's Hall, a little bit into the Mount Carmel era.
Yeah.
of AIW, and it's kind of scaled back on his bookings and things like that. But since we're going back to Youngstown, figured call him up and give him a shot. He's he's very very well respected guy, Joey Vincent Martini. So he's going to be taking on former Absolute Champ Isaiah Broner. And it's going to be interesting because, Broner's going to have the AIW people, but Joey Vincent Martini is, he's a man about town in the Youngstown area, So I think the people are going to come out to support JVM.
Yeah, so, a guy that, unless, like I said, before my time, obviously no disrespect, I didn't know who he was, but obviously just before my time. But Broner, a guy who's only been around in AIW for so long, he might have to take a deep dive into some old AIW to really get some tape on this guy to kind of know what he's getting himself into. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and I think, Joey Vince Martini just a Northeast Ohio veteran, good guy. And since we're coming to the Youngstown area, we figured we'd give him a shot on an AIW card again, and we're really just trying to put our best foot forward and get as many people into that building as possible. It's a cool building. We want to get a big crowd out there, and if we get a big crowd out there, we would suspect that maybe they'd want to do more, and that's the goal. So we're doing everything we can to get people in there on February 8th. And, Joey Vincent Martini is a guy that, he's very capable of, getting the city of Youngstown out to support him.
Yeah. Not to give away too much of this card, it is up right now on our Patreon. If you want to know the whole card, join our Patreon. All the card is up there for early subscribers. But we do have another Youngstown guy coming back. I don't want to go over the whole card or the whole match on this one, but the Darable Dog will be back in Youngstown. That was announced.
Spoiler alert.
You believe you did announce that on the last pod.
Did I?
Yeah. You announced, like I said, I'm not going to say who's all in the match, but the Darable Dog will be there. And I know there was a handful of some people, who maybe didn't get to see him in his debut the last time that he did wrestle in AIW. So now this time we're going to be in his, the Darable Dog's hometown there of Youngstown, Ohio. So make sure you get tickets to come out to see that guy for sure.
And, new Academy graduate, Youngstown native, Jeff Steele will be making his official AIW debut on February 8th. So we're really trying to kind of, build this card around, some people, in the area and, see if we can really, put a big crowd in there. You know what I mean? It's a large room. It's much bigger than the West Side Bowl. So we're seeing if we can, really, if we can draw a nice crowd. It's an awesome location, downtown Youngstown. Just a very cool brewery. Everyone speaks very highly of their beers. So very excited to be working with Penguin City. And I think I hope it's going to be a good relationship. But the ringside seating is almost sold out, which I was very shocked at. So far out. That it's almost gone. So, take advantage of that because the GA seating is, obviously, if there's seating left over, there's seats, but it is, standing room only. So, take that into consideration.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Patreon, we do open up Discord. We have a Discord through the Patreon, and we open it up to questions. If you have anything you want to ask or anything about any upcoming shows or past shows or really anything, you throw those questions in there, and we'll answer them here. First question comes from great supporter Russ. Russ wants to know if the Terror Cage will become a yearly tradition, or will, like Terror at the blank, whatever building name, be kind of a yearly tradition where just a crazy match takes place, not necessarily a cage or a death match or anything, but just Terror at the whatever with a crazy match?
Maybe. I think so. It's possible. I guess that's really up to the fans, if they enjoyed it, Terror at the Temple was really kind of just like born out of kind of like a marketing thing. Mm-hmm. And, I thought it sounded cool. And I just kept thinking of like these old, like, I remember like when I was like, I don't know, 18 or something, I bought some fucking DVD of just like it was just like shitty old horror movie trailers. And it was just like, had like that voiceover, and it would just be like the dumbest names of movies. And I just kept thinking of like Terror at the Temple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just like, I thought it sounded so stupid that we had to do it. That's honestly what it was born out of. And then, you know, I thought it turned out to be a great event. It drew very well, and it was a cool concept. And then we moved to Tadmore, and we just thought, well, you know, Terror at the Tadmore has, you know, the same ring to it. And we thought, well, you know, we don't want to do the same thing, though. You know, you don't want to do that big, you know, 10-man tag or whatever again.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, you know, it can be anything, really. So we came up with the Terror Cage.
A couple beverages started flowing, a whiteboard got broke out, and before you know it, it was pure carnage.
Right. So, I mean, the Terror Cage, maybe, you know, it's just, it's really up to the, you know, a lot of the stuff that happens is really up to the fans, you know what I mean? If people want it enough, it will happen again.
Yeah, and honestly, you got to give a big shout out to Dom and Chuck too, because you know you got to have AIW performers that are going to want to willing to do this kind of stuff. I can't say there was plenty of talent that when we were talking about doing a cage, with barbed wire and glass, and when things started really getting thrown around, there wasn't a ton of people like, oh yeah, throw me through the barbed wire spider web. It's not something that tons of people automatically sign up for too. So big shouts out to the talent too that are willing to put their bodies on the line for you. Scott Random wants to know, I want to word this properly too. I don't know how much you want to give away, but there was we had a medical emergency. Alex Melee had to pull out of the 6-man, so we had a surprise entrant, and Scott Random was curious how easy it was to find this surprise entrant.
It wasn't very easy.
No, I can't imagine it was.
But we were near the lake, Lakewood is typically where they roam. last known location. So.
And that's another reason why you just got to show up to AIW, man. Anything can happen. The pop that was a giant pop. What a great fun time, and that's the beauty of AIW to me. It's like these little surprises, these little Easter egg things, that you throw in there. To me that was great. When I found out who it was that day at the building, I was fantastic. That is perfect. Definitely. So yeah, get on the YouTube or on the Patreon for the next. You can see those matches for $5. Get on there and watch it if you don't know what we're talking about, because the 6 surprise entrant in that match was a fantastic one. That's for sure. Russ wants to know, was there going to be any guest for the Roxy return? And you've alluded to that. We do have, some guests coming back. The announcement will be made soon. I don't know when, if you want to say exactly when that's going to come down the pipeline, but.
Let me look.
What day that would be?
It's like officially in my email when it's going to be announced.
Okay. While we're waiting here, he also kind of asked, I guess another kind of part to that question, I guess, is he wants to know, are there any more WWE talents that are potential for a meet and greet? Maybe just a list you have in your head or anything like that. I do know we have the Jamie Noble seminar that was announced, so if you're a wrestler in the area, definitely you want to take advantage of that. No training program in this area is bringing in the minds that AIW and John Thorne is. If you are a wrestler in this area, that is just invaluable information that you can learn. Last time we had Steve Carino, that guy did like a 6-hour seminar just telling you everything you need to know about being a professional wrestler. If you want to sign up for that, I believe the information is on the flyer, but I think you could message Dom at AI Wrestling to get a part of that seminar.
So the announcement will be made Monday at 12 p.m. and tickets will be available for they had to be Patreon Monday at 12 p.m.
There you go. So I'm sure this will be released before Monday. So get your set your alarms, get them ready because ringside seats and premium seating for that will go fast, absolutely, especially once these names are announced. That's for sure. Any WWE talents off the top of your head that you were thinking about? Maybe just a short list of meet and greet or guest, something like that you've been thinking about.
I mean, it's really if they'll allow it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, the partnership has been good with, them these last few years of, letting people do stuff and stuff like that. I feel like it's been, we've had good luck, with the Gargano and Ciampa thing and, a lot of the other, guests we bring in, Carino, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just kind of like a wait and see.
Scott Random wants to know any viral reaction to Swoggle versus Microman 1. There's plenty of spots that he can envision becoming recreated or being popular. Like I said earlier, that was a sellout crowd in the back there. The curtain was sold out. Everyone was excited to see that one. I thought it lived up to the hype. I thought Swoggle was incredible. I always love Swoggle. I think he puts on a great show, but I think this performance, he stepped up above and beyond almost. I don't know if that's how to say it, but like he just had such a great performance this time around.
Yeah, as far as there's some photos that went viral-ish, and I saw like some news sites picked them up and stuff like that. Some of those like weird like Facebook news site things. And I'm going to start pushing some clips out now, that were like a week removed on social media. Mm-hmm. But nothing that I've seen that's gone viral. Outside of some photos, got super shared around. Like the test of strength photo was like,
yeah,
went crazy.
The look on his face when he got to do that too was just sheer joy. You could just, when he said, "I've been waiting my whole career to do this," that was truth to that. You could tell he was really loving that.
I did tell him, like, in retrospect, he should have did more of that, but there's, language barrier,
Yeah.
I think that they could have went for another 10 minutes of doing shit like that, and it would have been great. But I think they both kind of wanted to kind of get through what they had. There's a big language barrier there, and for them to be able to put that together, I think was quite impressive.
Yeah. Joe Hercules adds kind of on top of that, is it possible to get a meet and greet with Microman the next time he comes through? And I mean, he did go out there for pictures. I think he was taking pictures with fans, right? But I don't know, it wasn't like a necessarily like official meet and greet.
I don't know. I mean, he just kind of goes and I don't know what, he just goes up there and just sits.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of does his own thing. There's not really, he doesn't really... kind of does what he wants almost.
The problem is like none of us speak Spanish, so it's hard to say. It's hard, and like he doesn't speak English.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to, it's hard to communicate that to him.
Right.
So I don't know that he went down and tried to sell any merch at all. I don't know if he brought merch.
I looked at, didn't see any merch. I thought he was taking a few photos, but I don't know. I'm not positive, but. Yeah, somebody brush up on your Spanish, and then maybe you can work that out for us next time we have him through, because none of us can speak Spanish, unfortunately. That's kind of it for questions. Is there anything else you want to get to, while we got it here? I just want to kind of get on here and kind of review the show, debut in a new building, first show of 2025. I thought we was clear out some stuff here.
I don't know if I answered it, but as far as guests for the Roxy, I don't know if that was a question or not.
Well, that was kind of what we said. It will be announced. That's what it's going to be announced on Monday at noon.
Yeah. I would be ready on that Patreon.
Yeah. Anything else? Like I said, if you want to be a sponsor, get in touch with Dustin at AIWrestling.com. We get you in there. We got plenty of room for vendors, stuff like that. Like I said, this last show, we had a lot of people out there, a lot of people buying stuff. All the vendors seem very happy. We're looking for sponsors for the show. And if you want to get your name out there, your brand out there, contact us. We're always looking for sponsors. And join our Patreon, the Discord, and also join our YouTube. That's where you'll find all our shows, our library of shows. We got behind the curtain types interviews with talent we bring through. We got backstage vlogs. We got all kinds of content up there. $6.99 or $14.99 a month, 2 different tiers. Anything else? Get tickets for Youngstown. Those are flying off the shelf.
Tickets for Youngstown. You'll be able to get tickets for our return to the Roxy this Monday on Patreon. Our 20th anniversary front row is sold out.
Yeah,
already.
Globe Iron.
So tickets are going to fly for that. There's a super limited capacity on that as well, so don't miss that. Yeah, I mean, just trying to keep the momentum train rolling here.
Yep. All right. Well, for myself, for John Thorne, for everybody at AIW, we'll see you next time. Thanks.